Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. We now shift focus to Germany, where pressure is mounting on security and justice authorities after an Islamist extremist carried out a car attack at Berlin Pride over the weekend, killing one person and injuring several others. The country is now grappling with how a radicalized individual, already known to police as a potential threat, was able to carry out such a deadly attack. For more, let's talk to Thomas Sparrow, correspondent with our partners DW in Berlin. Thomas, what details do we know about the alleged attacker's motivation?
There are lots of questions here about how this attack could happen here at Berlin's Pride celebration, specifically because the main suspect, known here as Abdul B, a 21-year-old German of Lebanese roots, was actually well known to the authorities. He had a criminal record. Authorities knew that he had intended to join the so-called Islamic State. He was actually detained in Lebanon, returned to Germany, and he was given a suspended sentence here in Berlin, which essentially meant that he was able to go free on parole. And that's at the center of the debate here. How could authorities, specifically knowing that this man was an extremist, that this man had a criminal record, that this man was potentially dangerous, how did they actually let him go free? This is something that is also generating a lot of discussions here in Germany about what potential consequences there must be after this deadly attack. One woman died, nearly 30 were injured. And the most recent detail to come out was the fact that in the vehicle that was used, the man had actually left a video in which he pledged allegiance to the so-called Islamic State.
What are authorities planning to change after the deadly attack?
Definitely, because Germany has been here before. You may remember that in 2016, also here in Berlin, there was another car ramming incident, an attack at one of Germany's most important Christmas market. That was in 2016 in December. And the attacker there, called Anis Amri, was also known to authorities. The headlines back then were eerily familiar today. How could this happen? Why didn't Germany prevent this from happening? So there are calls that are growing louder and louder for authorities to actually do something, change something, modify something. There are 3 points that are under discussion. One is to change juvenile law, because the main suspect in this attack had actually been tried under juvenile law. He was 21 years old. So the main proposal there is for authorities, specifically with people they consider to be potentially dangerous, to not be tried under juvenile law. Second, to increase the use of ankle tags. That's something that may be more common in other countries, not so common here in Germany. That's something that the government definitely wants to increase. And the third one is focusing more and more on these so-called potentially dangerous people. There are around 400 of them here in Germany. 155 of them, according to authorities, are roaming free. So this is something that is obviously a matter of concern for many here in Germany.
Out of curiosity, how could this debate impact Germany's government politically?
It could impact Germany's government politically because there are very important regional elections coming up in September in the eastern part of the country, where the far-right party, the AfD, is particularly strong. In fact, they are leading there in the polls. They're also leading in the polls nationally. Nationally, they are the main opposition party, and they have gained support in recent years, specifically pledging for a stricter stance on migration and a stricter stance on security. And they are tapping into this debate right now by saying that it was a failure from the German state, that it was a failure from the German government. So this could actually increase their support, leading to those very important regional elections in September. So that's why also, if you look at what the government is trying to do, there's a sense of urgency when it comes to implementing, or at least presenting, new ideas, new changes to the German law system, so that these attacks can be prevented more and more. Because another element that is worth mentioning is a very increased focus on prevention. That is something that the German authorities also want to focus on.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much for joining in. With that, it's a wrap. Do stay tuned.